Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself. Look in my eyes, what do you see? A CM Punk is back on Raw. What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and this is my review of this past week's episode of Monday Night Raw. It was the November 27th, 2023 edition. It took place in Nashville, Tennessee. And for the first time since January 20th, 2014, almost 10 years from the last time, back on Monday Night Raw is Mr. Phillip Brooks, CM Punk, who made his surprising return to WWE this past Saturday at Survivor Series in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois. And we, of course, were advertised to hear from him of what he had to say since he returned back to WWE, a place that he had shot on for years, and he had never thought he would ever come back to WWE. What are some of the CM Punk fans and haters saying? And also, get into some little AEW tidbits, such as we found out who was the head of the disciplinary board that made the choice to advise Tony Khan that CM Punk had to go. And also, Tony Khan apparently was asked about it. And you can never get what he says. Usual blueprint of a Tony Khan answer. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm excited about AEW All In, because he's hiding behind that freaking... God. Tony. I want to still love you, man, but you continue to show me you don't have a backbone. You don't handle failure or downfalls too well right now, buddy. I'm sorry. But anyways, we'll talk about some of that stuff just a little bit later towards the end of this show. A lot happened on this episode of Raw. Overall, for a Fallout show, and again, we have a gap. It's not going to be another 2 months until the next pay-per-view, which is Royal Rumble 2024. Which is right when I made the list of my things to do. When I made my Royal Rumble card, we'll put on the list for 2023. Gotta get used to 2024. Should, because there's a bunch of label packets I had to make it work that I had to put 2024 on, but oh well, I did. But let's talk about this episode of Raw. It was a pretty stacked card for the most night. Overall thoughts, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. There was a few things that I may have set my expectations for a little too high, but I think it was setting stuff up. We have 2 months again until the Royal Rumble. It's WrestleMania season. And yes, Triple H is still working with a roster, of course, that has been just drained. That's been directionless for so long. It's still going to continue to take time. But he's still giving people opportunities to show us, what they can bring to the table. And I think tonight, this week's episode, safe to say, was definitely the tag team division. In that tag team turmoil. We also had Randy Orton, of course, addressing us for the first time since he returned as well. Telling Rhea Ripley that Daddy's home. It looks like so. I'll make a bold prediction when it comes to Randy Orton. because he is saying that he has unfinished business with the bloodline. What that is, I will talk about that in a little bit. And a few other things as well. And of course, the show ended with CM Punk making his return statement to WWE and how I thought of it. We'll get into it. And then, of course, I will advertise something that will be revealed tomorrow on this channel. That will be coming for the month of December. And we will roll from there. Also, as I mentioned too, as you can see, the thumbnail is a little bit structured differently. As again, I am trying to play around with my new softwares, such as Adobe Photoshop. I will get to Adobe After Effects, but right now it's at least the thumbnails. I'm sure at some point soon, you will see new graphics for these backgrounds. I'm gonna try to do some different things with it. We'll see what I can and cannot do, or I can figure out, can't figure out. But you know, my pop filter there, and we'll go from there. So again, enough talking and enough being Tony Khan and just talking about. I'm excited about this, and this. Let's talk about an actual good episode of Monday Night Raw for once. So, we opened up the show, besides, of course, with the recap of Survivor Series. We have Randy Orton, who came back. He comes out, and you can tell he got a little emotional when he's getting ready to do his pose on the ropes of this. He kind of stopped for a second. He's getting a little emotional, and I don't blame him. He probably thought that he was never going to get to do this again. And he sure is. Heck, when he was leaving the arena on Saturday, he was flashing the 10 fingers to the crowd. Basically, he feels he has 10 more years left in him in this business. But he says it sounds like we missed him. And he's back for as long as he can. And without further ado, he welcomes us to Monday Night Raw. He can list all his accolades, but something he never did was compete in a War Games match. So when his good friend Cody Rhodes called, he picked up the phone and he says, of course, he was in. But he also wanted to be in War Games because it was invented by the late, great American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And to be a part of the match is to be a part of wrestling history. And it's all about making moments. And he has a little bit of unfinished business, and that business has to do with the bloodline. He made a career out of putting guys on the shelf for over 20 years, so maybe he can forgive, but he can't forget, which is typical with Randy. And he's got a bag full of receipts for every single member, and when he says every, he means every. And he thinks Nashville knows what form of receipts those will come in, with the 3 most destructive letters in all of sports entertainment. RKO. Here comes Rhea Ripley. She welcomes Randy back, and he congratulates him on his performance in Survivor Series. But she also says that she did take him as someone who does favors, or teams of people who tried to end his career, referring to, of course, Jey Uso. Or have his big return a year and a half in the making upstaged, referring to how he got upstaged by CM Punk. Which, again, I will continue to say this, as incredible as the moments were at Survivor Series, I do feel bad that Randy Orton's career could have been over because of his back injuries. I do feel bad he got kind of overshadowed by Punk's return. But they did make him a big focal point of this episode of Raw, which I think was a good idea to do. She tried to play fair and give him a warning, but he made their enemy list. I skipped the part. He says he's been watching the product, and she's all over the show. Oh wait, I'm missing parts. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm sorry. She mentions how War Games was just a bump in the road because Judgment Day are still dripping in gold, and she talks about how Orton has all these enemies who have made his life a living nightmare. And he needs to stop focusing on the bloodline, because Judgment Day is the one getting the job done, and they're going to be the ones to put him out permanently. Orton says he's been watching the product, and she's all over the show. Mommy this, mommy that. Well, guess what, mommy? Daddy's back, which got the Who's Your Daddy chance. Which, this segment, as soon as Rhea came out, I think everybody was hoping for Randy to hit her with an RKO. And I think at some point it is going to come. We'll just have to wait and see. He tells Rhea that a lot of things have changed, and it's true. But the one thing that hasn't changed and will never change as long as he's here is that nobody tells Randy Orton what to do. And Rhea said she tried to play fair and give him a warning, but you just made us your enemy. And then JD McDonough and Dominik Mysterio attack Randy, and then Randy, of course, gets the better of them, and he takes JD out with an RKO, and Orton awkwardly humps him as he retrieves the microphone, and he tells Dominik, "Yo, Dom, don't leave, because I want to find Adam Pearce and get a match against you tonight," which I'm like, cool. Recently, I listened to I've listened to a lot of Chris Van Vliet interviews, and he interviewed Dominik Mysterio a few years ago, and he said Randy would be someone he loved to work with because he was a big fan of him growing up. I still think when Dominik was a face, like when he first came in, a feud with him and a heel Randy Orton would actually be pretty good. Maybe you'll get it someday, but I don't know. We'll see. Dom's too good as a heel right now. Don't turn him face anytime soon. The match was made official, though. It was going to be the main event match of the night. Randy Orton versus Dominik Mysterio. We also get Chad Gable pepping up his boys. Otis and Tozawa, they're going to be in the tag team Turmoil match as Chad Gable seems to continue to focus on singles competition. Maxine Dupree then rolls up with Jelly Roll, who's a country and western music star. And starts belly bumping with Otis, and then of course rolls in one of the other big surprise return from Survivor Series, R-Truth, who rolls up like he knows him, but it turns out he just thought somebody had jelly rolls to eat, and Truth tries to teach him the error of his ways, but he runs off the catering, and Tozawa does his weird looking dance. We did have the tag team Turmoil. The teams in it were DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, Alpha Academy's Akira Tozawa and Otis, the Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius, Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci, Inda Shears, Sanga, and Veer. New Days, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were all in this match. It was fun. It started off with Alpha Academy and DIY. DIY was going the distance for a bit. They beat Alpha Academy. They beat Into Sheer, thank goodness. Don't want to see Baltimore Hall on my TV. Then the Creed brothers entered the match. And Creed brothers and DIY, again, they still definitely have excellent chemistry. Them and, of course, I thought when they had their Raw debut match against Alpha Academy, I thought they looked incredible together. But then the Creed brothers did eliminate DIY. Then they eliminated the New Day. Then they face off with Imperium, and they beat Imperium, and they're number one contenders for the tag titles against Judgment Day. Cool. Again, I have only seen them for a couple weeks. I didn't see them on NXT, but again, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from them so far. So they're number one contenders. I don't think they're going to win the tag titles yet. I have an idea, though, of who could maybe win the tag titles soon. Because I have something in mind, but we'll get to that in a second. Anyways. So, after this, we have a backstage with Judgment Day. Finn Balor is talking to Damian Priest how they can't take the Creed brothers lightly. And Damian's like, I hear you. But I see your faces, and I know you guys are upset because I took the pin at War Games. So go ahead, spit it out, get off your chest. And then Rhea's like, yo, we're family. We rise and fall together. Then Finn adds that they lost one match, but they still have the tag titles. No big deal. Rhea promises none of them will hold a grudge against him. And Damian's like, okay, cool. I appreciate that. And for once, he actually asks, how's JD? Because he's taken a lot of nasty bumps, and he was in a neck brace too from that RKO. Finn says he's being examined, and it'll be a while, and him and Priest should go check on him. Which, okay, Still teasing that Damian Priest is probably going to get the boot soon, but I guess not yet. Cody Rhodes comes out, does his usual intro. He does a story of gratitude, thanking all of his teammates, Sami Zayn, the Yeet Master, main event Jey Uso, our champ Seth Rollins, and the man who came through for him, his friend, the legend killer, Randy Orton. Orton was mentioned early on and remains so to this day that he gave him a new memory by letting him finish not just any match, but his dad's match. And then he wants to address the return of CM Punk. How no one knew that was going to happen, nobody knows what's going to happen, and nobody knows what Punk's going to say. But Cody all he has to say is, welcome back. What's the saying? A fisherman always spots the other fisherman from afar. With all this news being made, all these stories, he'd like to make some news himself right here. Which, first off, again, I give Cody a lot of credit. The booking he has had whenever he came back from his injury, again, not just him being the guy, but what I like is, again, he doesn't ignore the facts. Like, again, whenever Sami Zayn was hot, whenever he won the Rumble, he addressed Sami Zayn. He wished him the best of luck. He endorsed him. He says he hoped to face him at WrestleMania last year. He didn't, if Vince was all over that, it probably would have been some other, bull crap. He would have ignored and been oblivious to it. It would have been stupid. Same here. But again, he addressed CM Punk, welcome aboard. If you can do business with us, great. Awesome. He didn't, go the route that Vince would have with his normal top guys and whatnot that he'd be shoving down our throats. But anyways, Cody Rhodes then announces that he's going to be the first to declare his entrance into the Royal Rumble. Because there's only one destination for him. So he's going to enter the 2014, way off, 2024 Royal Rumble match. But then the lights went out. And this right here, I guess, proved also that this was a long-term plan all along, and there was no plans at all with CM Punk involved until after Survivor Series, because the creative team didn't notice. But anyways, my prediction about Shinsuke Nakamura apparently wanted some bigger competition. And I guess the person he was eyeing was not CM Punk, but it was Cody Rhodes. Because Shinsuke Nakamura appears on the Tron and says Cody is a brave hero who has won his battle, and now he says he must continue history. But Nakamura needs him to set him free, awaken him, and let him evolve. He's been very patient week after week, but now he's done waiting. And instead of Cody bringing the chaos to Shinsuke, Shinsuke will bring the chaos to Cody. The lights come on, and Nakamura's behind Cody, and he spits red mist in Cody's face. So I guess we're getting a Cody Rhodes and Shinsuke Nakamura feud. Okay? I'm cool with that. I mean, I wish Shinsuke would have won the world title from Seth, because I think it's one of the last times he gets a chance to do it. And I like what they did to his character. They made it relevant, but I guess maybe he'll be the last heel he feuds with before he gets back to Roman. Again, how he's going to do that? Don't have him win the Rumble. I still want someone else besides Cody to win the Rumble. If Cody's going to get back to Roman, has to be a different story. Has to be a different story. Make it very Shawn Michaels and Undertaker type story. Where it looks like, his chances are dead, but he finds some way, somehow, to get to Roman at WrestleMania. But we'll see how that feud goes. Bronson Reed and Ivar had a nice big man match. I definitely do like the advantage they've had Ivar do, since Eric is going to be out for God knows how long. But I like what I've seen from Ivar in the singles run. Afterwards, the match went to a double countout. Ivar hit a senton off a road case and a couple other nasty spots for the both of them. And I guess the feud's continuing. who's a face, who's a heel here? I don't know. But it was a nice match to kind of give both big men, some big meaty meat men, pretty over. So that was good there. We had footage of Shayna Baszler giving Zoey Stark a pep talk, how she came up short against Rhea, but she'll get another shot. Nia Jax comes in. Oh my God, Zoey, you, if it was me wrestling, you wouldn't have lost. I wouldn't have lost like you did. And Shayna tells her shut her hole before she gets put on the shelf again. And Zoey says, nope, I'll take care of that. So they have Nia Jax and Zoey Stark, and unfortunately Zoey Stark lost. Well, the match was later on in the night, but that happened then. That happened. Wait, I completely skipped over something. I'm sorry. Yeah, that match happened though. There was another Judgment Day promo where they discover R-Truth eating powdered sugar, multi-platinum jelly rolls, because that jelly roll artist guy was there. He tells Judge that he heard they were looking for a 5th member for War Games, and he's happy to help. And they're like, Truth, that was Saturday. He goes, oh, did we win? And then Damian said no, and then Truth's like, did you know Randy Orton came back? And he says I thought it was pretty cool. Then they shoo him off, and they're upset that their couch is ruined. But then JD says he'll take care of this. So I guess that's a match next week, JD and R-Truth. Whatever. My bad, as Truth would say. Good to have Truth back. Nia Jax then beat Zoey Stark. Don't care. Imperium again are bickering backstage. And Gunther tells them he expects them to go to Adam Pearce and sorts out this DIY issue. Giovanni tries to promise to get it done, but Lulu Kozlova takes over, and they walk away bickering more. Can we just get to the point? Can we again just not break up Imperium? I don't get why they're trying to break them up. I just feel like Imperium may be a lost cause from the Vince McMahon booking. Had we not gotten the Vince booking from Imperium, I think they would have been okay. Because again, they should be dominating Raw. When they got drafted to Raw in the draft earlier this year, it felt like Raw was meant to be their show. Instead, it was Judgment Day's show. But now they're in this dumb storyline. Just if you're going to break them up, just break them up. I don't like the idea because they haven't even scratched the surface with Kaiser and Vinci as a tag team. I mean, they've done well with Gunther, but, Speaking of which, Miz rolls up and says he saw Gunther's press conference about his next opponent, challenging him face-to-face. Well, he's here to challenge him again. Gunther's like, you sure? And the Miz is like, I know I can beat you and take the title. And then Gunther says, you ain't no threat, but you stood up for yourself and you came prepared for a fight. But he can claim that he belongs in the ring, but just not in his ring. I don't forget that he's got another match with Miz and Gunther. Whatever. Oh, then we got Seth Rollins. So we all know Seth Rollins was shown verbally upset when CM Punk came out at Survivor Series. He even gave him the double bird. He lets the chants go on, and he's like, go on, get it out of the system, because I don't want to spend one more second on that hypocrite. So instead of talking about somebody else that don't matter, he wants to talk about what does matter. Like, ooh. Again, nice little seed to plant towards the future there. We'll slowly get there, but I love that seed. He wants to talk about the title that he's built into the most important title in this industry. We're 2 days out of War Games. He ain't feeling good. But he's got an itch to be a fighting champion again. And he went to Adam Pearce earlier. And he was about to mention he's set up for another title match. Before he can mention who it is, here comes Drew McIntyre, who was seen storming out of the ring after Judgment Day lost at Survivor Series. And some people think it had to do with CM Punk coming out. Because everybody in the main event knew Punk was coming out before the match started. But I guess he's still telling the story while he's here. Again, I don't know if Drew's leaving or not. That's still the big question. It wouldn't surprise me if he left. But again, I think there is a possible direction for him if he does stay that I talked about in my Survivor Series review, which is to make him next year's Mr. Money in the Bank. Anyways, Drew comes out. He talks to Seth and says, it's been a crazy 48 hours. People talk about a lot of things, but they know what happens in the ring is the most important. And he wants to shake Seth's hand and congratulate him on his victory at War Games. And they shake hands, okay? Drew says how Judgment Day had a master plan that apparently involved losing the damn match. Hell of a plan. And Jay's been driving him mental. And he's realized he has to put Jay on the back burner and focus on what's more important. The world title. McIntyre watched Seth writher in pain and he felt compassion. Felt like he had to tell him it was okay. But it was over, and he went to tell him about it, and Rollins slapped him across the face and beat him. And he realized he needed to be the biggest shark in the yard, and that's why he's gunning for the title. And Seth says, Drew, I've always respected you for your honesty, and he does believe Drew deserves a rematch. But the problem is, he believes that there's a few people that might deserve the opportunity more. And Rollins says he came out here to say he'll be defending the title next week. And then Drew's like, hey, you're the champ, you call the shots. But he'd like to know who the match is with. Which again, before I get to the punchline here, again, I still really like this Drew character. That the fact that even though he's definitely a heel now, it's only justified because he's still only a heel towards the people he truly hates. And of course, before this, it wasn't Seth that he had anything against. But as I keep saying, I said recently, it's like the Bayley turn, where it's like, you know, a turn happened, but everything seems like it's the same, except for just that one little thing. It's like the injection of lethal poisoning, whatever it is that we always said. Like, he's slowly getting, like, this made him even more dangerous in this promo, like more heelish. But Seth Rollins says he's defending the title, and you can tell he knew this was not going to make Drew happy. But next week, he's going to defend the world title against Jey Uso. And of course, the magic word that makes Drew full-on angry is the name of Jey Uso. And then Drew snaps and headbutts him, and he got busted open a little bit. And he starts attacking Seth. And he's yelling at Rollins for giving Jay the match. And then Jay comes out, the Yeet Master, as Cody calls him, and makes the save. And he starts lining him up with right hands. And they start brawling. And eventually Seth gets up and they do a double super kick to get Drew out of the ring. Jay then picks up the belt and gives it back to Seth. They stand tall together. That's next week's main event. Cool. Then when Drew's backstage, Sami runs into him. And then Drew's like, don't start me, Sami. But Sami says, gives him a talking to about how he attacked Rollins like he did. And then Drew's like, you don't understand. And then Sami goes, yes, I do understand. He's also come up short many ways that Drew has, including falling short to Roman Reigns because of the bloodline. He had that happen in his hometown in Montreal earlier this year. But what happened? He picked himself up and he moved forward because he knows he has an end game. And that end game is to win the world title. And Drew has been champion twice. World champion, that is. Sami's never been world champion. And Drew has everything he's got going for him. He's 6'6", of pure muscle, and he's acting like a spoiled brat, and he's better than that. And Drew says, you know, you were right about a few things, and maybe he should work his way back up the ladder. And he's going to go to Adam Pearce and get a match next week. against you, Sami. So that's a match next week. Cool. And that was a nice story there. Again, it's true. Sami Zayn has faced a lot of the same roadblocks like Drew has. But he's right. Drew's the one getting frustrated. Sami's the one who's keeping it going. But Drew he's cracking. Again, the heelish side is coming out with Drew. He's trying to stick to being who he is, but he's finding these opportunities to, do something, and he's getting more and more desperate. And again, the suspense of knowing if he's staying or not, we'll find out, of course, soon if that's the case. But we got that. We had a women's tag title match. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven taking on Natalya and Tegan Nox. The match was decent. I felt like it was a tad bit too long, though. Like, especially when I talk about later how I felt like they didn't give CM Punk enough time on the mic. They could have maybe shaved off a couple minutes of this match. What was also a tad bit disappointing, though, was Chelsea and Piper won. I kind of wanted to see Tegan and then Natalya win this. But they did, and Tegan took the pin. I'm wondering now if that means... I've been wondering for a while, because they even kind of teased it whenever Vince was making some calls and calling some shots earlier this year. I still wonder if they're going to maybe turn Tegan heel. I don't know. I mean, if it was a few months ago, I'm like, let's give it a shot. But right now, it feels like there is some direction for her with this underdog babyface thing. I think what they're trying to do is book her like Sami Zayn was in 2014 and 15, whenever he was being built up to fight Neville for the world title in that career versus title match. I feel like it's something like that similar mottos right there. She's putting on good matches, but she's just missing it at the end, basically. But I think eventually Tegan and Natty will win the tag titles. It just may not be for a bit. But we'll see. I also really like this segment. So backstage, we have Randy Orton getting ready for his match against Dominik. And who rolls up? Main event Jey Uso. Who he obviously knows that he's one of the people Randy has some receipts to hand to. So he first thanks Randy for having their backs at War Games. And he heard him talking about receipts for the Bloodline. And if it means anything, he's been trying to do right and leave the past in the past. Randy says he's been watching and sees how Jey has had Cody's back. And how Cody gave him a second chance and he trusts Cody. And all that means something to him. And as long as Jey is out of the Bloodline, he's happy to leave bygones and be bygones. They shake hands and yeet on it. yeet. So, I know some people are thinking that Randy Orton could eventually turn heel on Jey Uso, which is possible. But I kind of thought of an idea. So I still don't know if I want, because of course Randy's saying that he has unfinished business with the Bloodline, right? But it looks like he is on Raw. The Bloodline is on SmackDown. So how can he get to the Bloodline? Well, first off, again, I'm sorry, but I know they were going to I know they were going to do Roman and Randy at SummerSlam before Randy got hurt. But I don't think Randy Orton should be winning the Rumble match, first off. He doesn't need to, again. I don't want him winning it. I don't think I want Cody to win it. I want Cody to get to Roman another way. I've been saying that for months. Ever since they split up Roman and Cody. I think they were doing with the whole Jey Uso coming to Raw thing, but that wasn't the case. But here's what I thought of. Both Orton and Jey have a common enemy, right? The Bloodline. Jey, obviously needs to start doing some stuff to get set up for his match with Jimmy at WrestleMania. What if, and of course also is because Randy Orton's starting to get some heat with the Judgment Day. What if they had Randy Orton and Jey Uso after the Creed brothers fight Judgment Day? What if they challenged Judgment Day for the tag titles? And they win them. And maybe at Royal Rumble, because, of course, Randy and Jay will be able to go to both shows because of the tag titles. What if, because of those tag titles, we get at Rumble Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton? Again, because they'll have tag titles. Go to both shows. If it was for that, I wouldn't want this. Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles in the Fatal 4-Way at Rumble. I'm probably going to predict that when I do my Rumble card predictions, which hopefully will be soon. That's what I think they should do. It'd be an interesting little story right there. They have a common enemy, common enemies in the Judgment Day, and Orton wants to get back to the Bloodline because he's on Raw. I think the only way he can do that is if him and Jay would win the tag titles off Judgment Day. And maybe, I don't know, you can have Jimmy and Solo dethrone them or something to get some more heat on Jimmy before their match at WrestleMania. Because again, Jimmy's ice cold. Jimmy is absolutely ice cold. I'm sorry. At this point, I just want to see the match with him and Jay and just move on. Because his storyline is just ice cold. But just something to throw out there. Becky Lynch has a backstage promo, says she feels like she went to war at War Games, and tonight the man has come around to Nashville and she sees some fights on the horizon, one more passing than the other. Whatever that means, I don't know. Maybe she's starting to tease her, making her way to Rhea for the women's title, which will probably be the WrestleMania match. Cool. Randy Orton and Dominik Mysterio had a nice match. Randy Orton won with an RKO. And then we get to the moment we've all been waiting for. The best in the world appearing on Monday Night Raw for the first time again since January 20th, 2014. So CM Punk comes out and makes his entrance. He says, it looks like hell froze over. And by that, he means he's standing on Raw with a live microphone in his hand. He's been feeling more like himself since Saturday, and he's been trying to come up with words and language to explain it all and how he feels. And he's got 2 words, and he's afraid to say them. It's not because they're not true. It's because he's been afraid of how true they are. And it's going to sound corny and cheesy, but he has changed. Once upon a time, the American dream told him, if you spoke from the heart, it's the truth. And here is the truth. He's home. He's come back to this familiar place, and he didn't know how it was going to go. But it's made him feel like his old self, because this is where he feels he belongs. He's been gone for 10 years. Despite all that, we, the WWE fans, never forgot him. Even when he wanted to forget him, and that's powerful. A bunch of continents, countless countries, people at home and in the buildings never stopped chanting his name. The voiceless found their voice, and he couldn't be more proud. And he heard us, and he's back because he loves us and he's missed us. And all of this, and he wishes he could say he never had to leave. But once upon a time, a wise man told him he'd have to leave and come back to get the most out of this place. He's back for us. In front of and behind the camera, it's been nothing but love. Everyone back there is happy to see him. And a few people even kissed him on the mouth and asked about AJ. And by the way, she is fabulous and sends her regards, which got the crowd to pop, which made me wonder. Possible Rumble appearance for AJ Lee? I think there's a shot. Anything's possible. Everyone has welcomed him back with open arms. Well, almost everybody. Some people are afraid. They're afraid of the truth, of what they don't understand, but he understands. Everyone here competes week after week to be the best in the world. But the best in the world hasn't been here in almost 10 years. He understands being afraid. And they're afraid he just set the bar too high. That the most dangerous and controversial man in the industry just walked in the front door and there's nothing you can do about it. They're going to have to come to terms with the fact that their efforts in this ring, on this microphone, even on commentary, aren't just false, but a lie. Because the best in the world is standing here in the ring on Monday Night Raw. And his name is CM Punk. And as the show is going off the air, he says, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And that was the show. So, there's been a lot of thoughts circling the internet on this promo. We're going to talk about CM Punk for a few minutes here. There's been a lot of thoughts circling around this promo. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who think this promo was a flop. Because it wasn't a usual CM Punk promo. It was very tame. It was PG Punk. He softened up. He didn't shoot on AEW. Either way, let me just put it this way. To me, and it's just my honest opinion, no matter what CM Punk does, he's just one of those people that fans are going to find like any reason to hate on him. And again, I continue to mention what I think of Phillip Brooks. I think Phillip Brooks is a reasonable guy. I know he has an aggressive attitude, a little bit of a temper, but again, he's not looking for trouble. Now, how he handles people coming at him, that's a different story. That, again, I can understand why people think he's difficult. But again, he has not started the drama. He did not start the drama that led to him getting fired. It was how he handled people getting on him that got him fired. But again, could stuff have been prevented to stop it? Yes. Yes, it could have. But I still felt this promo was not hypocritical, although I feel like his eventual story with Seth Rollins is going to tell, of course, whether or not he is, how he responds to him being called a hypocrite. Because again, I can understand why people would think he's a hypocrite. But what he addressed in this promo, even though, because the one thing I didn't like about this promo is I wish they gave him more time. He only got 6 minutes to talk. He should have gotten at least a good 10-15 minutes to talk. And I think we would have gotten a little more out of him. But he did leave me wanting more. Was this a tamer CM Punk? Yes. He didn't shoot on AEW. But we're going to go back to this promo, and I want to tell you what I took from this promo. Saying how he's been trying to come up with words to explain how he feels, and of course the whole thing of him saying that he's afraid to admit it. He's saying he's afraid to admit, how he feels, because again, he has for years, and basically that's him admitting, for years, he's made it seem like this was not a good experience for him. But the way he feels, basically, let's put it this way. And he's come back to a familiar place, and he didn't know how it was going to go, but it made him feel like his old self. Because, let's put it this way. AEW, although, again, it's in a cold streak right now, AEW brought CM Punk back to WWE. AEW brought CM Punk back to wrestling. AEW was also a reality check to CM Punk that not everywhere is gonna be sunshine and daisies. There is gonna be some problems anywhere he goes. And unfortunately, AEW is not the experience he thought it was gonna be. Did he have some good moments? Yes, up until he won the world title. Things were going well for Punk in AEW. Then his injuries happened, then the drama happened. Which, let me address that really quick also as well. There's reports that came out yesterday that the head of that disciplinary board that basically suggested to Tony Khan that they fire CM Punk is a good friend of CM Punk and a personal hero of mine, Bryan Danielson. And first off, also, another reason why I don't understand some fans also is now there's fans that are upset that Bryan was the one who chose to fire Punk. When some of these same fans, no offense, were happy Punk was gone. But now that it's Bryan Danielson, now they're upset. My thing is again, like I said, I think Tony Khan, them getting rid of CM Punk and AEW was the right thing to do. At that point, again, it was not going to work out. No matter what happened, and again, CM Punk is not a cancer. But obviously, there were things that a lot of people there had issues with him. And the difference is with WWE and AEW is despite the fact that AEW does not have as good of a structure about discipline like WWE does, because Tony Khan is not going to hide behind the success of Tony Khan is going to hide behind the success of All In for as long as possible to dodge any questions and continue to make himself look bad. But WWE does not put up with that. They do not put up with that. But they also have people there like Roman Reigns and a few others who have openly admitted they don't like CM Punk, but they know that he draws in the money and they'd be willing to work with him from a business standpoint. Like, that's what the thing that I got out of this first part of this promo with Punk is the fact that, he thought for the longest time, even when he came back to AEW in 2021, which also, Punk didn't make any references towards AEW in this promo. And to me, that was basically him saying, I just want to move on and be grateful for this opportunity to come back. To the fans that, again, the wrestling community wanted him back. But the first people that were begging for CM Punk to come back, the moment he left in 2014, were the WWE fans. And WWE has a much better structure. And although Punk hated to admit that again, that this place he thought was a poison to him is actually where he belongs. He came to that realization and learned, to still be grateful for WWE for what it is. The place he truly belongs. That's what I got out of this promo. And of course, he mentions how there's people there, of course, who welcome him back and appreciate him. Well, almost everybody. Basically not saying Seth Rollins, but how some people are afraid that he's back. And like people like Seth Rollins, he's teasing that. So to me, although this was a tamer version of CM Punk, I still think the promo was effective. I think it was effective. It got the point across. Like I said, yes, eventually Seth Rollins will call him a hypocrite to his face. What is CM Punk going to say? Again, I'm not being like a biased CM Punk fan who sees everything CM Punk does through rose-tinted glasses. I'm not trying to be that. But, as I keep saying, the guy is a reasonable guy. And I understand why he does business the way he does. And again, he's not out there to pick fights. He's not going to tolerate people walking over him. But he's not there to pick fights. He is out there to do his job and entertain us. Because that's what he loves to do. And that fire in him is still there. Again, him and Triple H despised each other. Triple H brought him back. Had an hour-long phone call with him the week before Survivor Series and brought him back. Because he knows they're both changed men. And he said in the press conference, if you can't change, then... what was the word he said now? If you can't change, then you're messed up. And Punk has changed. Again, although he wasn't happy with his first time around in WWE. I mean, yes, a lot happened for him. He thought that was the biggest poison in his life even 2 years ago he had AEW. He admits that although he went to AEW, WWE is truly his home. So, I think this promo, again, despite the fact Punk didn't get a lot of time, it set up a mission statement. It showed that, he's not here to dwell on the past. He's not here to put AEW in the garbage. Yes, he didn't really do his normal shoots that he would at times, but I'm pretty sure once he feuds with Seth, that is going to happen at some point. But I think he's set up for, what's yet to come with him very well. So I still look forward to see what CM Punk does in WWE and get what could possibly be the last chapter of his wrestling career. And we'll go from there. Could he still win the Royal Rumble? I think it's possible. How, though? I think that at some point, whether Seth Rollins is still champion or not, I think either way, at WrestleMania, we're going to get CM Punk and Seth Rollins. So, again, a lot to say about Punk. But again, I like this promo. And again, I think he set the table. Now it's time to, serve the food. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. And that, guys, that's my review of this episode of Raw. I gave the B. Again, the expectations were set a little too high for some things, but I thought it was good. It set up a lot of things to come. I continue to like to see some people getting fresh opportunities. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see how SmackDown is this coming Friday, which I will not be watching SmackDown when it happens because I'm going to be going to play bingo with my sister-in-law and one of her friends on Friday. Yes, I know. Man, the story's going to play bingo, but I haven't played bingo in years. Don't judge. My wife already has enough, but also, I'm going to, of course, try premiering something tomorrow. I'll upload it tonight. You'll see, of course, the graphic, but I still got to, record my blurb. And there will be something happening throughout the month of December on the channel. And again, it was something suggested by my wife, and I want to give it a shot and see how it does this year. So, guys, again, gave it a B. What are your guys' thoughts on this episode of Raw? CM Punk, Bryan Danielson being the one behind the disciplinary board who advised that they had to fire CM Punk, which again made the right call. Tony Khan, which he said in an interview that he didn't want to talk. He says, I can't legally talk about CM Punk, but I'm excited about AEW All In because it was during whenever he's getting ready for the ticket sale to start on December 1st for All In because that's all he can talk about to cover up that he basically can't handle this drama. All other things, make sure you guys let us down in the comment section below. And be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. And you may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And again, I will have that blurb premiere on the channel sometime tomorrow. And hopefully you guys look forward to what I have planned for the month of December. So until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, CM Punk may be in the best in the world. But in order to be superior to the man, Punk, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. Now, of course, usually I would say, and that is not just an opinion, that is a fact of life. Yeah! But I think this one is appropriate to end by saying, to end my statement to saying that for I am the man himself, tell me when I'm telling lies.